Hi. All right, so this is popular request from my WhatsApp, and I decided to share some um knowledge from this book. So you're going to be, I'm kind of like going to be reading this book every day of this month, December, as we end the year. Um, the Diary of a CEO, the 33 Laws of Business and Life. I'm not going to read everything, but I'm reading a book already, which is Business Secrets from the Bible. So I want to finish that. But I was like, okay, we could do this as a series. Instead of a vlogmas, we could go through this book together. The book is actually some of the words are highlighted. Yeah, I used to do that with the Bible. Business Secrets from the Bible. Actually, the topics or the secrets are like very intriguing, so I just shared with my community on WhatsApp, and I was like, okay, let me try and use this for YouTube. So some are highlighted, so more of like I'm going to be sharing you the highlighted parts of things and discuss or like share my thoughts about it and how I can relate it with my life, and you also take some tips from it as well. So let's get into it. So today we're just going to take the introduction and also the first law. So the very first thing I noticed when I opened the book, which blew my mind, was that the author Stephen, I don't want to murder the surname, so Stephen, we'll just go by Stephen. He when he was introducing the book, who wrote the book, who am I, who is he? He what struck me was he has raised almost $100 million of investment from his companies for his company, sorry. And he is an investor in more than 40 companies, and also on top on four, sorry. So he is also he's also part of the board of four companies, and that's two of them which are currently at the forefront of their respective industry, and he's 30 years old. So I'm like, currently I'm 25, right? And I am trying to come up with ways of being able to like grow and all that, like actually intentional growth in my career, in my business, in whatever I do, my personal growth, everything. And I'm like, he's just 30, so that's 5 years away from me. Can I achieve like something? Like, can I achieve a lot of things just like how he has achieved a lot of things at 30? And I think I can. 5 years is a lot of years that I can put my mind to do things and actually achieve a lot of things. And in fact, I'm going to be mind blown at the age of 30 by myself. And so that's what intrigued me. And I'm like, nah, I am going to take my growth seriously. So coming to still on the introduction, he wrote something here which is a quote from Einstein. It says, everything should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. So sometimes things are not, I think sometimes things are not really ABC, but they're actually ABC in the best possible way, right? I'm not going to give an instance because it's going to make a long video. So now, the book was has four pillars, right? So it says it has the four pillars of greatness. So the four pillars of greatness, the first pillar is, okay, so for you to become great or for you to be a great person, there are four pillars to it. That's what he says. And the first one is self. The second one is the story. Okay, so the self, we have the self, the story, the philosophy, and the team, right? Okay, so the first for the self, I'm going to just read something it says here. So those who cannot establish dominion over themselves will have no dominion over others. So if you can't actually be able to control yourself or know yourself, you can't know another person. So knowing yourself is very important, and knowing taking dominion and controlling yourself is actually very important for you to be able to actually be able to control other people and take dominion of other people. Okay, and this pillar talks is about
you or me, whereby you understand your self-awareness, self-control, self-care, self-conduct, self-esteem, and self-story. The self is the only thing we have direct control over. To master it, which is no easy task, is to master your entire world. So if you master yourself, you've mastered the entire world. And I think it's very true. We even find as it's difficult to even stay consistent on building ourselves up, like maybe taking our gym membership seriously, or working on our body seriously, or like studying something, or like creating content. Like consistency is very hard for us, because like putting ourselves under control is very difficult. So if you are able to master it, the world is your like it's easy for you in the world, right? So the next pillar is the story. And they say stories, I'm not reading everything, I've highlighted some parts of things. I don't know if you could see them, so I'm just reading those parts. And then it's that's what intrigued me when I was reading the introduction. um Stories are the single most powerful weapon any leader can arm themselves with. They are the currency of humanity. Those who tell captivating, inspiring, and emotional stories rule the world. Stories, stories, stories. Everybody has a story. When you even hear the public speakers and all those people, they always tell their stories. So I think storytelling. I am a data analyst, so like storytelling is really, really like I have really come to understand what storytelling does, and like like the difference it makes, and it makes a lot of difference. I think I use storytelling to win a challenge, and I'm like, wow, there's so much power in storytelling, right? So we move on to the next pillar, which is the pillar of philosophy.
All right, so I just realized that the mic was off for a while when I was speaking, so my uh, voice or the sound of the video is not going to be same. So I think I have to be watching my mic often. So we were at the philosophy, and I'm going to take it again. Under the pillar of philosophy, I'm going to give a definition here. Your philosophy is the set of beliefs, values, or principles that guide your behavior. They are the fundamental beliefs that underpin your actions. So everybody actually has this belief, and funny enough, in the world, in the environment we find ourselves here in Ghana, I have come across a lot of beliefs.
Like,
What do you people think? Yeah. So I realized that everybody I actually try to do what understand where people come from or their philosophy. So when I meet you in person or when I meet you for the first time, I just try to observe you to see or to understand your philosophy of life. How do you understand life and all that? And it really makes a difference for me to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna be your friend. Okay, I'm not gonna be your friend. It's just going to be like professional or acquaintance or anything like that. So it's very key for you to know your um your philosophy with life, your beliefs and all that. And then the final pillar is the team. So people. It says, yeah, the definition of company is a group of people. At its essence, every company, project, organization is just a group of people. So you can't say you are like no man is an island. You can't say you can do everything by yourself. I have gone through that process of like everybody putting their taxes on me and I'm carrying everything. I realized that nah, I can't do this anymore. And from that was when I decided to ask for help, let other people help me, bring on a team and all that. Everything has been easier for me, especially this year. Everything has been like I've gone through the process of like I can do everything myself too. I can't do everything myself, and it has been a blessing. And to end with the pillar, it was like when you have great people born by a great culture, the whole thing becomes greater than the sum of its parts. So, for example, one plus one becomes three because of like the great bond and the great culture, and that makes great things happen. So, if you have a great team, you actually would actually be good, right? You'll be able to make it, like you'll be able to be great. Yeah. So now we are down with introduction. That was just introduction, trust me. We are done with introduction and we've actually learned our 4 pillars of greatness, the self, the story, and philosophy. So for pillar one, so now the laws have been divided into the 33 laws have been divided into pillars. So the very first pillar, I don't know if you can see, the very first pillar is the self pillar, and you're going to take that for today, and for tomorrow, we go into the second pillar, and we go on and on for the rest of, like, I think it will be 33 days if that's possible. Yeah, so that'll be, we'll end by 3rd January, and probably take another book, or I see how my you people react to it, and let's see. I know I am kind of like mostly talking to a ghost, but like in the future we'll see how it goes, right? Okay. So for this, the law says fill your 5 buckets in the right order. Okay, so this law explains the 5 buckets that determine your human potential, how to fill them, and crucially in which order you should fill them. So it's just like creating kind of like bucket list, but this time around a self bucket list, whereby you have 5 buckets of yourself that you have to fill, and in the right order. The very first thing, or the very first bucket you have to fill, is what you know. That's about your knowledge, like what you learned from educate from school and all that, so your knowledge. The second bucket is what you can do, your skills. Your third bucket is who you know, that's your network. The fourth bucket is what you have, that's your resources. And the fifth is what the world thinks of you. That's your reputation. So the buckets are your knowledge, your skills, your network, your resources, and your reputation. And that's in order. So you have to fill your knowledge first, your knowledge buckets first. You have to fill your skills bucket first. You have to fill your network buckets next, and you have to fill your resources next, and then your reputation follows in that order. Yeah. So I'm going to just read this part so you can see that there are buckets. So the book is very nice to read. Like I'm liking it. You can even just glance through and get so much knowledge, and also now sit down and study it. So yeah, I'm glancing through it with you before I sit and study it in 2025, right? So I'm going to read this part, and let's see. We take some parts and then we end. Right. Okay. So we usually start our professional life acquiring knowledge. That's going to school, going to college, going to university, and all that. We acquire the knowledge, and when this knowledge is applied, we call it skill. When you have knowledge and skill, you become professionally valuable to others, and your network grows. Consequently, when you have knowledge, skills, and a network, your access to resources expand. And once you have knowledge, skills, and valuable network and resources, you will undoubtedly earn a reputation. Which these with these 5 buckets and their interconnected relationship in mind, it's clear that an investment in the first bucket, that's knowledge, is the highest yielding investment you can make. Because when the knowledge is applied, which is skill, it inevitably cascades to fill your remaining bucket. If you truly understand this, you will understand that a job that pays you slightly more cash but gives you far less knowledge and fewer skills is a low paying job. Whoa, that's a blow, right? If you get what like the last part says, let me take it again. If you truly understand this, you will understand a job that pays you slightly more cash. That's like getting a good job, like how I was in the bank getting more cash, but gives you far less knowledge and fewer skills is a low paying job. That's a blow. Like if you understand this, you know that your job has to make a lot of sense, right? Your job has to give you a lot of value in your knowledge, right? Just like what I'm doing now, me teaching is giving me a lot of value, so much in my knowledge bucket actually. Before I and then I'm building my skill as well because I'm applying it. I'm running a team like an organization and all that, which is kind of like I'm playing a CEO role and all that. So like thinking of it, it really makes sense that your job has to make sure, like, if you're going into a job, you make sure that the job is actually going to fill your knowledge bucket more and more, aside you getting the pay. If the pay is more than the knowledge you're gaining, then there's a problem. And also, I think knowing the knowledge you want to gain to each part. Because when I was at the bank, I was gaining knowledge in field of like um finance sales, and I gained the knowledge of in law too, but those two weren't my field. My field was data, statistics, and I wasn't gaining knowledge of that. So it was like I had to create a new bucket, and creating a new bucket was gonna be difficult for me. It's gonna be like it was going to take me like 2 years. When I did my math and calculation, I was like, no, I'm not going to waste 2 years here. Whilst I already have a bucket that I can use that 2 years to fill that bucket fully, and actually would that bucket will actually fill other buckets, right? So that's what I did, and that's how come I quit the bank, and by God's grace and His direction as well. So now, let's take another highlights, right? Um, there are only two buckets that any there are only two buckets that any such profession earthquake can never empty. It can take away your network, it can take your resources, it can even impart your reputation, but it can never remove your knowledge, and it can never unlearn your skills. So if you read through, I've not read through, so we are glancing through together. I've not read through, but it's talking about professional earthquake. Like something can just happen to your skill, to your work, right? So let me read this. I defined a professional earthquake as an unpredictable career event that diversely impacts you. This could be anything, a technological innovation that disrupts your whole industry, being fired by your employer, or if you are a founder, your company going under. So like maybe your company have going bankrupt and you have to shut down your company, or you are like let me say bankers, right? You're a banker and cryptocurrency or crypto comes to take the whole space of the finance world, and cash is failing and the bank system is not really working. Or even here in Ghana, there were banks that were collapsed. So like after that, what's next? What's your career? So that's professional earthquake. And it's saying that here that the professional earthquake can make you lose your job. That's like losing your network of friends at the job place, losing some resources like money and all that. But your knowledge is still gonna be there. Your skill is still gonna be there. So these two things are very important, and these are the very two first brackets you need to fill. Right, we are almost at the end. I don't know. We are almost at the end. So after this, we have law two. So let's take this and then we end the video for today. Sorry about my cocks. I don't know whether it's a hen or it's a cock, but my fowls. Okay, so the law, fill your first fill your five buckets in the right order. So applied knowledge is skill, and the more you can expand and apply your knowledge, the more value you will create in the world. This value it will be repaid in a growing network, abundant resource, and a robust reputation. Make sure make sure you fill your buckets in the right order. Those who and we are reading this quotes, I think I'll say quotes for the day, right? It says those who hoard gold have riches for a moment. Those who hoard knowledge and skills have riches for a lifetime. True prosperity is what you know and what you can do. Let me take it again. Those who hoard riches, sorry, let me take it again. Those who hoard gold have riches for a moment. Those who hoard knowledge and skills have riches for a lifetime. True prosperity is what you know and what you can do. So now from Law 1, an introduction, we've learned about the four pillars of greatness. The first pillar is yourself, the second pillar is your, let me try and remember, your story. The third pillar is your philosophy, and your fourth pillar is your team. Yes. I think team can play, can be your friends, can be your family. If some of us, maybe our families are very very supportive. I have a grandma who is 90 plus, so from the Gold Coast age, no school, she didn't go to school, but supports my career so well in the tech space. And I'm so like, some some of my family members who are more educated are not supportive of my tech career like that, like she does. And I'm like, I'm just wondering, if you had gone to school in those days, where you would have been, because she supports me so well. So I'm thinking that your team, as you grow up, before you get into the company stage where you are creating a team and all that, I think also your team could be your friends, because this year or this quarter of the year, I've made friends and I've joined communities that has changed my mindset and has made me understand that I could do this with them, right? So these friends could be a team, they could be my life support team and all that. Before my companies, I have my organization and I have my volunteers that we work with and all that. So it's very important. So those are the four pillars of greatness. And under pillar one, which is the self, we have the first law, which is fill your five buckets in the right order. The first is your knowledge bucket, the second is your skill bucket, your third is your network bucket, the fourth is your resource bucket, and the fifth is your reputation bucket. So we've come to the end of today's read or glance. I'll say read because it's still reading, right? But I am not reading the full book because it's a book I'm going to be reading next year. But I decided to just share some nuggets from the book with you, my community, whilst we prepare for next year. So next year, you can put it up to yourself that you're going to split the five buckets throughout the year and build it up, and it's going to make a lot of sense, right? And next year's theme for me is building value. So you're going to realize that the keep building show is going to turn into keep building your value. Also, the show is going to be value throughout the year, um so that as I am practicing building my value, I'm bringing you the stories behind what I'm doing. And basically that's it. So yeah, and basically that's it.